investor confidence in Canada in over 2 decades, twice the rate of other countries. In the G7, we're projected to have the second fastest growth in the G7, not just this year, but next year going forward. So the country is stronger. We're stronger because we're united. Morning, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. As many of you know, yesterday the United States announced the intention in 30 days to launch the latest, what is a series of trade actions against Canada in violation of our agreement, CUSMA, with the United States and Mexico. And I want to put this in a bit of perspective, then answer a couple questions. The first is that in response to these actions, this began over 18 months ago. Canadians from coast to coast to coast have stood together. The federal government, provincial government, Labour, business, Canadians themselves, uniting, focusing on what we can control, building strength here at home, supporting each other, buying Canadian, and diversifying partnerships abroad. We've signed more than 20 economic and security partnerships internationally. Investment, machinery and equipment's picking up, economy's picking up. We're growing jobs at twice the rate in the United States, with the fastest growth in foreign direct investment, investor confidence in Canada in over 2 decades, twice the rate of other countries. In the G7, we're projected to have the second fastest growth in the G7, not just this year, but next year going forward. So the country is stronger. We're stronger because we're united, and we will remain united. I will be speaking with the premiers later this afternoon. I'll be meeting with them tomorrow. Minister LeBlanc will convene the Canada-U.S. Advisory Council later this afternoon. Earlier this morning, and I would say as well that throughout this time we have made a series of comprehensive and detailed proposals about how to modernize CUSMA, recognizing the transition that the U.S. is underway in the international and all its trading relationships, including with Canada and Mexico. I spoke with President Trump earlier this morning. We agreed to intensify negotiations in the coming weeks, and the team and myself look forward to doing that. As always, Canadians, governments, business, Labour will stand together to build Canada strong and to have a trading relationship with our North American partners that benefits everyone. Oui, merci. Une peu de perspective. Hier, les États-Unis ont annoncé l'intention d'avoir une autre mesure tarifaire dans 30 jours. C'est le plus récent dans une série de menaces tarifaires depuis 18 mois en contravention de l'ACM, les règles de l'ACM. Premier point. Deuxième point, depuis le commencement de cette guerre tarifaire, les Canadiens, d'une lotion à l'autre, se sont unis. Les gouvernements, les travailleurs, les syndicats, les commerces et surtout les Canadiens et les Canadiennes, afin de bâtir un pays, une économie plus forte, afin de soutenir nos travailleurs, nos agriculteurs, nos commerces, afin de diversifier nos partenariats à l'étranger. Maintenant, nous venons de conclure plus de une vingtaine d'accords d'économie sécuritaire à l'échelle du monde. Et nous avons une économie qui devient de plus en plus forte. La création, par exemple, d'emplois est 2 fois plus rapide qu'aux États-Unis. L'investissement étranger ici au Canada est 2 fois le moyen de G7. C'est le plus fort de G7, c'est le plus fort depuis 2 décennies. Alors, une économie plus forte, des partenariats plus diversifiés et en même temps, nous avons proposé plusieurs fois des initiatives, des propositions globales et détaillées afin de régler la situation dans l'ACM en reconnaissance l'objectif des États-Unis de changer, de transformer toutes leurs relations commerciales à l'échelle du monde, y compris le Canada et le Mexique. Je viens de discuter avec Monsieur le Président des États-Unis ce matin et nous sommes nous sommes d'accord d'intensifier nos négociations pendant la prochaine 2 semaines. Mais en tous les cas, le Canada fera tout ce qui est nécessaire de soutenir nos emplois, nos travailleurs, de soutenir nos agriculteurs, de soutenir les Canadiennes et Canadiens et de rendre un Canada plus fort, plus indépendant et plus résilient. Merci beaucoup.
Prime Minister, are you considering retaliatory tariffs, dollar for dollar on the U.S.?
Look, we have a situation where the American tariffs, the 338 tariffs, will come into effect in 29 days. And we will look at all options in terms of how we would respond if they do come into effect. That's part of what we'll be discussing with premiers. Also, in parallel, as I just said, that I'd spoken with the President. We agreed to intensify discussions. We'll begin that right away. And this is part of a negotiation. So the first objective is to get a comprehensive agreement that benefits, obviously, both countries, that's consistent with CUSMA, CUSMA as it is and CUSMA as it will be, and we'll work towards that. But in parallel, when I say we will do whatever it takes and keep all options, obviously, it's a comprehensive point.
Monsieur, un nouveau voyage à Washington, est-ce que c'est dans les plans?
C'est pas absolument nécessaire d'avoir un voyage, c'est nécessaire d'avoir des conversations et les conversations de l'équipe commerciale, y compris M. Leblanc et puis Mme Charette. Ils sont les grands négociateurs et l'ambassadeur Wiseman avec leur homologue. Et oui, bien sûr, des conversations entre moi et M. Trump. Il y a des conversations assez souvent entre nous et on va continuer. Si sera utile d'avoir une réunion face à face, on va le faire.
Prime Minister, on the bridge, can you please clarify? Prime Minister, on the bridge, can you please clarify?
Prime Minister, were you caught off guard? You recently made concessions in regards to the Gordie Howe Bridge. You rolled back the Digital Services Tax, the Online Streaming Act. Are you going to make more concessions in order to get the Americans to the table?
We're at the table. We'll be having those more intense discussions. And, what the issue has been for us has been a comprehensive agreement. We understand the U.S. approach to strategic sectors, what they call strategic sectors. They are strategic sectors, but under their definition, 232 definitions, that's aluminum, that's forest products, that's steel, that's automobiles, pharmaceuticals, copper, others. But those first four being the most important for the Canadian economy. And that we don't want a partial agreement. We want something that addresses those sectors as well, so that there's a viable approach going forward. In our view, and the view of Madame Sheinbaum and the Mexican authorities, there are solutions that evolve CUSMA so that those sectors are globally competitive to the benefit of workers. Of course, we're working for workers in Canada first and foremost, but also workers across the other two economies.
Should the provinces put booze back on the shelves? Will that help with these negotiations?
It's part of a broader. The provinces individually took those decisions in response to a series of tariffs that were put in place, and also threats to our sovereignty. Those measures have been supported by provincial citizens, and they're supported, and it's indicative in terms of other consumption habits, if I can put it that way, of Canadians, where Canadians have traveled. Other things that are on the shelves but aren't being purchased. The decision to change that, first and foremost, will be taken by the provinces themselves, each individually, and should only be taken, in my judgment, as part of an overall agreement. And that's what we'll work to accomplish.
Thank you, everyone. Did you mislead Canadians on the bridge deal? Did you mislead Canadians?
That question, hanging in the air unanswered, is exactly why this press conference is generating so much attention. Not because of what Carney said, because of what he didn't get the chance to say. Let's unpack everything that actually happened here. The day before this press conference, the United States announced it would impose new tariffs on Canada within 30 days under a rarely invoked provision, Section 338, that Carney says puts the U.S. in direct violation of CUSMA, the trade agreement it renegotiated with Canada and Mexico. This isn't a new fight. It's the latest round in a trade pressure campaign that, by Carney's own timeline, has been running for over 18 months. Rather than sounding defensive, Carney came out swinging with numbers. He pointed to more than 20 new international economic and security partnerships signed since this pressure campaign began, jobs growing at twice the rate of the United States, foreign direct investment growing at twice the pace of the rest of the G7, and investor confidence in Canada at its highest level in over 2 decades. He's framing 18 months of tariff threats not as a crisis Canada is enduring, but as the exact pressure that forced Canada to diversify, and he's using the growth numbers as proof it's actually working. Not everyone in the room was buying the framing. One reporter went straight at the pattern: the Gordie Howe Bridge toll-sharing deal, the rollback of Canada's digital services tax, changes to the Online Streaming Act, 3 separate moments where Canada adjusted its position under U.S. pressure. The question was direct: is Canada quietly caving one issue at a time while publicly talking tough? Carney's answer leaned on the idea that Canada is holding out for a comprehensive deal covering all the sectors that actually matter: aluminum, forest products, steel, and automobiles specifically, rather than accepting a partial agreement that leaves those industries exposed. Whether that's a meaningful distinction or a rhetorical one is exactly the kind of thing critics are going to keep pushing on. The question about whether provinces should put American alcohol back on store shelves seems small, but it's actually a proxy for something bigger. Provinces pulled U.S. alcohol as a direct, visible response to the tariff threats and the 51st state rhetoric, a form of consumer nationalism that's become one of the more tangible ways ordinary Canadians have participated in this trade fight. Carney's answer made clear that decision stays with the provinces, and that in his judgment, it shouldn't be reversed piecemeal, only as part of a genuine overall agreement. In other words, the boycott isn't ending until Canada actually gets something real in return. And then the press conference just ends, mid-tension, with a reporter shouting whether Carney misled Canadians on the trade deal, no clarification on which deal, no follow-up, no answer. That's not sloppy editing. That's exactly the moment that makes this clip spread, because it leaves the single most pointed question of the entire event completely open. Strip away the numbers and the diplomatic language, and this press conference captured Canada's entire current predicament in about 4 minutes. Real economic gains from diversification, real pressure still coming from Washington, and a growing chorus of reporters and critics asking whether the concessions being made along the way add up to more than the government is willing to admit. Carney says Canada is stronger and more united than it's been in years. The final question in that room suggests not everyone is convinced that's the whole story. Do you think Carney is holding the line, or has Canada already quietly conceded more than it's letting on? Subscribe to Unbiased Canada, hit like, and let us know in the comments.